The William Pace Show through the years has been a beacon of light in the Midwest, taking you to such destinations as the Navy Pier, the Palmer Hilton Palace Hotel, the German Village, the Showboat Majestic Theatre, the Ohio Village, and the Krohn Conservatory. There's always something cooking in the kitchen on the William Pace Show. Some of the biggest stars, entertainers, and political figures like B.B. King, Jimmy Walker, Bob Carlisle, Patti Austin, Mr. T, Whitley Phibbs, and Congressman Tony Hall have appeared on the William Pace Show. Now, without further ado, we proudly present the William Pace Show on CATV, coming to you from the heart of the Midwest. The William Pace Show, asking the questions you want to ask, getting the answers everyone wants to know. It's a new season of the William Pace Show. We're raising the bar with more commitment to educate, inform, encourage, inspire, empower, and help you have your best life. Everyone deserves to have their best life. I'm just staying the course. Here we go. Hello, I'm William Pace. The William Pace Show is on location in Racine, Wisconsin. Racine, Wisconsin is known for its many fishing charters, so today we'll be talking with Mel Both. He's going to take us out on a ride on Lake Michigan. And then we'll be talking with the Executive Director, Dave Blank of the Racine County and Conventions Visitors Bureau. And we'll end the show with a tour of the Wind Point Lighthouse, where we'll talk with Mike Cooper. That and more, all on the William Pace Show. Stay with us. Hello, this is William Pace, and I had a wonderful time at the Racine Marina on Lake Michigan. I arrived at the marina that morning and was astounded by the sheer number of boats that were docked there. I met with Captain Mel Booth, and we boarded his fishing charter, the Rod and Reel. He took us out on the dock in the direction of the open waters of Lake Michigan and explained that driving a boat was very much like driving a car, with only a few minor differences. As we left the marina, we saw many different types of boats, such as sailboats, yachts, jet skis, and fishing charters like our boat. We had a wonderful ride out on the lake with a great view of the Racine shoreline. And Shane, Captain Booth's trainee, showed us how the fishing lines were set up and attached to the boat. On our way back to the marina, Captain Booth must have lost his mind because he let me get behind the wheel and try out my sea legs. And while I got the hang of it fairly quickly and was having a great time, I let him do the docking. As the boat was tied to the dock, Captain Booth and I found a good spot to conduct the interview. I realized that my first time ever on a boat had gone over without a hitch, thanks to a great crew and a worthy vessel. The William Pace Show through the years has been a beacon of light in the Midwest, taking you to such destinations as the Navy Pier, the Palmer Hilton Palace Hotel, the German Village, the Showboat Majestic Theatre, the Ohio Village, and the Krohn Conservatory. There's always something cooking in the kitchen on the William Pace Show. Some of the biggest stars, entertainers, and political figures like B.B. King, Jimmy Walker, Bob Carlisle, Patti Austin, Mr. T, Whitley Phibbs, and Congressman Tony Hall have appeared on the William Pace Show. Now, without further ado, we proudly present the William Pace Show on CATV, coming to you from the heart of the Midwest. Hello, I'm William Pace, and we're in Racine, Wisconsin, where they're known for their fishing charters, and my guest is Mel Both, who's been running a charter for over 20 years.
Right.
20 years.
20 years of pleasure.
Wonderful. Tell me, in the 20 years, what's been the most exciting thing that's happened to you?
I think the most exciting thing that's happened to me personally is my son and I were out fishing, and we hooked up a big Chinook, and it kept going around in circles around the boat. My son, being somewhat resourceful, jumped up on top of the hardtop and stood up there playing the fish as the fish collected all of our equipment from all around the boat.
From all the fishermen then?
No, from our boat. We run 12 or 15 lines at a time.
Okay.
So this fish is picking up all this equipment. And when we finally got the fish in and we dumped all the equipment over in one corner, it looked like a tackle store in the corner of the boat.
Wow.
That was exciting for us. The other most, I think, memorable thing was last year, last Friday of Salmonorama, which is a big fishing contest here run by service clubs. And we had a fellow on the boat. We right near the end of the charter, we hooked up a nice Chinook, and the rod broke off right above the handle, the butt, and slid down the line. We thought about what we could do we wanted to get this fish in. It could have been the winner for the whole tournament. So Shane finally decided, here's what we're going to do. I'll be the rod. So he put on a pair of leather gloves, and he's standing there with the line holding it up in the air as the man is reeling and the line is running through. So Shane was acting as the rod, if you would. We finally got it in. I think it weighed in at 7th place in Salmonorama for the year. And then I think it moved back 1 spot or something like that. So that was memorable to me.
What kind of fish can you catch in Lake Michigan?
You can catch probably a dozen different kinds of fish, but we fish primarily, sport fishers, for Chinook salmon, coho salmon, steelhead, which is a rainbow trout that goes out and to the lake and comes back in, brown trout, and lake trout. Lake trout are probably our stability. We always have the opportunity to go out and fish lake trout if we can't fish something else.
Are some of the fishes somewhat of a challenge to reel in?
Chinook salmon typically will take a decent size. Chinook salmon will take 150, 250, 350 yards of line before you ever turn his head. He'll just keep going. He just goes. Some of the lake trout here run into the 40-pound area. When they're down on the bottom and you're up here on top and they want to stay down there, when they get to be 40 pounds, they can stay down there. I don't care what you do. Sometimes we have to pick up all our equipment, turn the boat off, and let the person fight the fish to get them up out of the bottom.
Wow.
These fish are huge. They are
How long would they be?
Physically. They're a big lake trout, 40, 42 inches long.
And
May weigh 40 pounds. They are not easy to catch, and they're not easy to hook up. You got to be smarter than the fish. You know?
Are all your customers here, are they all experienced?
No, we get people that have never seen a fishing boat before. We get, as I said, people from all over the world come here to fish. Especially during Salmonorama, people come from all over the world. This is a big contest. We have the euchre contest, which is run out of Milwaukee. Bob Euchre, the sports guy, and it's for Make-A-Wish Foundation, and so they've been down here for years. They were smart enough to come down here to hold their fishing contest because they know the fishing is good down here, and nobody's going to argue with that. It's just true.
How many more years are you going to be doing this, you think?
Probably 2. I don't think we got to get Shane to get a license as a captain first. And then I've got to get enough confidence in him that I can go away comfortably and know that he'll run the business well.
So you're sort of training him.
Exactly,
right now.
exactly. I took him under my wing, I think it was 3 years ago. We've had some falling outs, we've had some problems. But, you know, he's a 20-year-old and I'm a 70-year-old, and both of us are hard to change.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
All right,
There's more to come from Racine, Wisconsin. Stay with us. Hello, I'm William Pace, and I'm in Racine, Wisconsin, and my guest is Dave Blank. He's the Executive Director for the Racine Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thanks so much, Dave, for being with me today.
Sure, William.
There are exciting things going on this summer in Racine, like the charters.
Yeah.
And we just were on the charters a few moments ago. A lot of excitement on the charters. but it's a big attraction here in Racine. Why is that?
The Racine-Kenosha area annually leads Wisconsin in the number of fish caught per charter trip. So people like to go where they think they're going to have success and have some fun, and so when there's a chance you're going to catch 12 to 15 fish per charter trip, they'll come to our area. And the fishermen really talk to each other. That's what makes it unique here, is that if somebody's catching something somewhere, they're telling everybody else, I'm catching this using this kind of bait, whereas a lot of places won't do that.
So you have people coming from all over the country then?
Oh yeah, all over the country, all over the world to come fish in Racine.
And Racine is sort of known for that.
Yeah, we have a good charter group of about a dozen charter captains that go out in decent size, well-equipped, large boats, and they go out about 6.5, 7 miles.
Let's talk a little bit about the harbor.
Mm-hmm.
That was a major event, and it took, what was it, $25 million?
Something like that,
something
yeah.
like that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the harbor is really what draws people to Racine. We know that 42% of the visitors come, at some point during their visit, they'll visit the harbor. There's a great restaurant out there. There's some nice hiking paths, and it's fun just to go around and look at the boats. We have these $1 million yachts, sailboats out there.
So Racine is really a sort of a tourist attraction.
Yeah,
so to
it's
speak.
an undiscovered. It's one that we're hoping to get discovered, but really, it's right at this point, it's on the verge of getting discovered.
I want to talk a little bit more about the harbor. I know it was a major undertaking. They had to actually drop stones. They had to build up the
breakwaters. Yeah, they had to build up the breakwaters. They had to build the peninsula out into the land, into the water there where they have the marina on. And that's how a lot of cities have done it. If you look at the old maps of where the lake used to be, it used to be up along this hill over here behind us. If you look at the 1850s, that's where the end of the lake was. Mm-hmm. So cities all along the lake have done developments, and that requires bringing in lots of rock, dumping things in there, and then you bring some dirt in on top, and you can do some great land development projects that way.
Well, you know, when as you know, I'm from Ohio, and when I think of Racine, I think of Lake Michigan.
Yeah. And
so you've sort of encompassed the lake as a part of the city and the activity and so forth.
Well, our slogan is great fun on a great lake.
Mm-hmm,
and that's what we're selling here in Racine, Wisconsin, is great fun on a great lake, because even though a lot of locals here take it for granted, this beautiful lake for granted, the people from outside, the lighthouse and all the beaches and the zoo that's right on the beach, on the beach here, and the marina, you can't see this in too many parts of the country. This does make Racine unique.
Very much so. Thank you so much for being with me
Sure.
today. Thank you.
Yeah.
There is more to come on the William Pace Show, coming to you from Racine, Wisconsin. Stay with us. Hello, I'm William Pace, and we're on location in Racine, Wisconsin, and we're at the Wind Point Lighthouse, and I'm talking with the caretaker, Mike Cooper. Thanks so much for being here with us today. Now, you've been the caretaker for how many years?
Approximately 20 years.
20 years, and in the 20 years, what do you like best about the job?
Probably the gardening.
Gardening?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun trying to design and keep up with what's going on with the gardening and stuff like that. Plus the people coming in are all interesting because we get them from all over the nation. There's a lot of people who tour the nation looking at lighthouses, and it's interesting to meet a lot of them and talk to them, see where they're from and where they're going and what they've been to.
Tell us a little bit about the history of the lighthouses.
Well, this lighthouse was built in 1880, and at that point in time the U.S. Lighthouse Service owned all of the lighthouses. It was built here to cover 4 navigational hazards. One is the point itself, as it's the most obvious one when you look at the map. But off of the city of Racine, there's a reef that runs for approximately a mile and a half east and west, and it was kind of a hazard for ships. So they used this lighthouse to mark that reef along with another lighthouse. When they lined up the lights from the 2 lighthouses, they could tell where that light was. There's also a couple of small shoals that are located off of Wind Point. about a mile out in the water. It get fairly shallow, and it marked those two shoals as well. And the real reason they built it here was because when ships would leave Racine and Milwaukee and sail towards, say if you were leaving Racine and went towards Milwaukee, you wouldn't be able to see this point at night, and ships would run aground. And because this thing sticks out in the water so far, it was a reason to build it here.
So the lighthouses are sort of to guide and direct the ships and the boats coming in, shore.
Yes. Yeah.
So what are some of your other duties as caretaker for the lighthouse?
Well, if around here what I would do is just about anything that an average homeowner would do. Cut the grass, you do painting. One of the things that I would do that a normal homeowner wouldn't do is schedule meetings in the village hall. The keeper's quarters has been converted into partially my residence, the headquarters for the Wind Point Police Department, and the village hall. The village government holds its meetings here, and it's available to local residents that so they can come out and have, say they baby showers or wedding showers. We host weddings here on Saturdays quite often and stuff like that. So I'd schedule a lot of that in.
Let's talk about the lighthouse. There are how many steps that take you from the ground floor up here?
There's 144 from the ground all the way up to the light itself.
Now where are we now?
We're on what they call the gallery, which is just below where the light is located, or the lantern room.
Okay, can we go upstairs to the light room then?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great, let's go. Well, we made it to the top.
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about this light? This is the light that you would shine out to the lake.
Right. This is a modern beacon that the Coast Guard put in here, and they still maintain this. So this lighthouse is still in activated navigation. A lot of the lighthouses on the Great Lakes have been deactivated, but this one is what they call a main turning light, and that means that it marks a junction in the shipping lanes. So about 8 miles east of here, there's a split in the shipping lanes, and that's what this lighthouse marks, as well as, of course, guiding for small boaters in the coastline here. The light itself is about has a 1,000-watt bulb in it, and it's magnified to 1 million candle power.
Wow.
And that light, it would be visible for about 40 miles or greater. However, because of the curvature of the Earth and the height of this tower, it's only visible for about 19 miles. But that more than adequately covers what the lighthouse was designed to warn the ships away from.
And it's only been recently that it was owned by the village, the Wind Point Village.
Yes.
Prior to that time, it was owned by the government?
Yes. When it was built in 1880, it was the U.S. Lighthouse Service. Then in 1939, the Lighthouse Service and the Revenue Service and a few others were combined into the U.S. Coast Guard. Then the Coast Guard had ownership of the building until 1997. And in 1997, it was deeded over to the village of Wind Point. As long as we maintain it as a historical site and maintain the buildings in a historical manner, the government will allow us to keep the property.
Great. Let's continue on with the tour of the grounds.
All right.
Mike, thanks so much for this guided tour of the Wind Point Lighthouse. It was a great thing to do. I think I finally caught my breath going all the way up to the top. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, William.
There's more to come on the William Pace Show, coming to you from Racine, Wisconsin.
The William Pace Show through the years has been a beacon of light in the Midwest, taking you to such destinations as the Navy Pier, the Palmer Hilton Palace Hotel, the German Village, the Showboat Majestic Theatre, the Ohio Village, and the Krohn Conservatory. There's always something cooking in the kitchen on the William Pace Show. Some of the biggest stars, entertainers, and political figures like B.B. King, Jimmy Walker, Bob Carlisle, Patti Austin, Mr. T, Whitley Phibbs, and Congressman Tony Hall have appeared on the William Pace Show. Now, without further ado, we proudly present the William Pace Show on CATV, coming to you from the heart of the Midwest.